They come in and go out of storage.
The other color is something about that one that's in the green colors. You have to change the braking system to 12 inch from 18 inch or something.
Yeah,
And then you will sell it back to the
right, they wanted to do some truck work on it. Configuration. Their braking system on this. Oh, sure. The price is right.
What's the engine classification of these right here? SB35?
When we first got diesel, we added these two stalls on, 2 and 4 stalls, what we call them. We made them for a concept of cover wagon, V unit. Of course, nowadays the locomotives go a little longer, and we can only get 2 locomotives in each over a pitch. This area is where we do our periodic tests, the 12-month test, and we do our running repairs through this stall. Because of the ventilation system above, we can run locomotives inside the building, which could help, especially in the weather and the rain and snow, whatever you get. So all the locomotives that come into Shoreham are dispatched through this track to make sure that everything's up to snuff as far as the brake rigging, the test work, and the running repairs, and they do the complete check of the locomotive in this area. This used to be, before they purchased the Milwaukee, this was the chief area for dispatching locomotives out of Minneapolis. That was the roundhouse foreman's office, and this used to work 7 days, 3 shifts. They set up, trained consists out of here, depending on what kind of horsepower they needed. Over that corner is our oil lab, which is closed up right now. In there we have what they call a spectrograph. And that takes analysis of the oil samples of the locomotives every 45 days. And it tells us if we have any internal problems with fuel dilution, water problems, silver with bearings that may be falling apart. And this is a lifesaver. It's really saved a lot of locomotives. But every 45 days we get that.
What bring an engine here to check it? What time frame and how many people have to work on it in order to get it out of here?
Okay, I have a 12-month test. We can usually turn a 12-month test around in a day. And that'll take probably, eat up about 6 people. Provided there's nothing major problem.
Yeah, I know.
Take her out of steam.
Why you see this area full of trucks is we have a complete set of trucks for every style of locomotive we own. The reason why is because when our wheels wear out, which usually averages between 3 and 3.5 years, and rather than tie the locomotive up while we rebuild the trucks, we have a complete set. So we already have the trucks made up when the wheels are already wore out in the other locomotive. So the locomotive will come in, we'll jack it up in the air, pull the old trucks out, and put the rebuild back in. That's why, so it only takes about 6 hours to change trucks rather than tie the locomotive up for a week. You'll see and notice as we go further through the shops, the problems we have on wheels. A lot of problems, of course, majority of problems in the flanges. Being this part here that keeps it on the rail. And because of the curves, you get wear in flanges. And if you don't true the wheels often, which maybe once or twice a year, your flanges get so thin that when you try to true the wheel and bring it back to a full profile, you take too much of the thickness of the wheel out, and then your wheel has to be changed out. So it's a very critical area that you keep tabs of the flange thickness and flange height. All these different style trucks, when I say GP, of course GP means general purpose, and that's a 2-axle truck. If I say an SD, that's a 3-axle truck. SD is special duty. SD, GP, that's what they are, the different style of trucks. Okay, we're going to roll right along. And these are all rebuilt. They're all rebushed. Traction motors are reclaimed. New springs. New packing in the cups. These are all being rebuilt trucks, these two here. We move them around with a trackmobile. You'll see a trackmobile as you go further on. We change the two trucks together and hook on with a trackmobile and move it around the shop wherever we have to go.
What do you figure it costs to refit this stuff roughly?
Oh, just the bushing kit alone is about, I think it's around about $2,000 just for the bushing. Hang on. Go ahead.
Second one, just pulling in the gate.
Okay, thank you. Over. The traction motors. To buy a UTEX traction motor costs anywhere from $12,000 down. That's a UTEX traction motor. The wheel sets, well, depends on if the sun's up or down. It vary the prices. So you're talking probably around about $12,000. We do it because we don't put brand new motors in. We put reconditioned motors per truck, not per two. Behind us here you'll see engine blocks. Through wrecks and derailments and different other things that may happen to the locomotive, we have some spare engine blocks. All of our locomotives except for the GE fleet that we keep stored down the other end that we're eventually going to get rid of. All our running fleet are EMD locomotives. They're all the 2-cycle engine, either the 12 or the 16. The turbocharged or blower charged. And these are just spare blocks that we have in the shop right now. I think this one came out of a walking shop.
Where you drop this one?
Yeah, that's an instructor classroom, portable classroom.
Now, who uses that?
This car here?
Yeah.
Well, it can be the president or chief executive officer.
You?
All I do is
just
make
wondered
sure
who
it goes
uses
out.
it.
No, I see. I wish I could use it. But
The officers of the company.
Yeah, the officers do. And they go out and, like they may take it out in North Dakota and take some people on board for lunch, some of our customers.
Animal hunting, something like that.
Yeah.
Now, that just on the engine.
Yeah, it can go on an engine or it can go right on an Amtrak thing. It's all set to go on an Amtrak.
Then you have to
It's
pay
self-sufficient
Amtrak
also, yeah.
You can haul it out the end of the line. In Montana there. Just leave work off of it.
Yeah.
Just for the
Just,
unit.
yeah, you
the
betcha.
power.
Well, you see the 1535, that's our unit we're converting for the hump yard. And behind it is our slug conversion. That was the 2118. But now it's being made a slug. It'll still stay the same number. But the slug is being the engine won't run. The power off of this generator will run not only those traction motors, but the traction motors on the slug. And we also put an extra fuel tank in the slug so we can pump fuel from the slug to the mother unit. And we're hoping to get that on in about 2 weeks. Working, I hope.
Those old Elko trucks?
No, they are conversion switcher trucks from friction to roller bearing. Go ahead. Alright, we're changing out one wheel set, one traction motor. We don't have a full truck change out. We have jacks in our diesel shop for changing trucks. 90% of the change outs are single wheel change outs because of thin wheels, traction motor failures or whatnot. We can go down this shop, we'll wait on back up. The deal is, this end of the shop is a Boilermaker area where they repair all the wrecks. And we have all our heavy machinery down here for our heavy plate that we fabricate and rebuild the car bodies, or we manufacture our own snow plows here. Sioux Line has a high snow plow because of the territory we run in, but we make our own snow plows. If you see our new SD60s that we've just purchased, we take those plows off and put our own plows on because they're not big enough. Because we need the larger plow to throw that snow further away so it doesn't get back in our traction motors. There's this area down here. It's all our rollers, punches, shears that are Boilermakers. We have 3 tracks for wreck repair. This 6405, she got, I think it was a gravel truck. We decided to go along the side of her one time, I guess. And this 186 is in here because a rusted sashes on the side of the cab. That was inherited from the Milwaukee decided to wash up locomotives using acid. But so we have to, over there you'll see one of our plows that we just built. We try and build a plow a day for we just purchased was 21 of those SD60s. That's what this area is for. So I'm going to turn you around. We'll go back the same way. The truck's upside down to rebuild them. That way we don't fight gravity all the time. And we rebuild the traction motors here. Our wheel sets come from our wheel shop, all new wheels pushed on. They come over here to repush the frames, rebuild the frames, reclaim the traction motors, put them all together, flip them back over. Then you go to the paint shop, get shot, and then we bring the locomotive in and change out the trucks and go to the next set. That's the theory. What the heck?
has got GM branded on it.
Behind me here are two cleaners. They're called Prosecco's. They're an invention made up in Montreal. And what it is, it took the place of a live vat. Before, we used to have to strip our trucks down and soak them for 24 hours and then get in guys in there and scrape all the crater off, which took a lot of time. This large vat takes a truck frame and washes it spotless in 20 minutes. This one does the gear cases in the same amount of time, which you can imagine it saves us a lot of time in rebuilding trucks. That's what these are. These machines are about 3 years old now, and they've done one heck of a job. Now, before we leave the machine shop, we're going onto this transfer table. Watch your footing. There's open slots because we're working on the table. We put down some plywood on it, but be real careful because it just got washed over too, so watch your foot. Go ahead and just go straight over there. Probably stick to the left a little bit on there. This part of the shop is called what we call a tin shop. We do our light fabrication metal over there. They've got a lot smaller shears, a lot smaller rollers and punches. We fabricate and repair our steel overhead covers. We fabricate our guards, whatever we need for the locomotive. On this side of the shop is where we clean and test our radiators, loop flows, and our cap heaters. This is one bank of a locomotive radiator cooling system. There's 2 banks per locomotive. Our locomotives, they usually average about 350 gallons of cooling. If you see a locomotive, you may see the coolant look a little green. It's not antifreeze. We don't put antifreeze in the locomotives. Simple reason, for 350 gallons of water is a lot of antifreeze, and we're cheaper idling the locomotive than buying antifreeze. Plus, you have to get a lot of problems with water leaks in the winter. So it doesn't pay. But that's what these are. We have different type of cores. This is a soldered core. You get mechanical bonded cores. And there's an outfit up in Hibbing called L&M Radiator. It makes a core that's put together with grommets. And if you get a problem, you just pop the grommet out and replace it by another one. And it's a pretty good idea. We found it works pretty good. A little expensive, but they're good. So we'll just go right along and we'll go along with it. This part here is a diesel stop for spare parts. It's a water stop.
Get some bucks tied up in that one.
This shop in here is where we reclaim our components off of locomotives. We split it right in half. To the left is mechanical reclaim, to the right electrical reclaim. And up this end is a headline. What a headline is this is a cylinder head on a locomotive, 4 valves. They're all exhaust valves because it's a 2-cycle engine. And what we do is we clean and test our heads, we put new valve guides in, and replace the seats, check the head out at operating temperature for cracks, and it's put together. The cylinder liner, all we do is take them out and send them out. Then they get re-chromed. We do the rockers, and the injectors are sent out, and we get those rebuilt. And that's a test scout. And over to this side, we have the piston carrier, that's the piston, and the carrier pin, and the rod. These are the piston rings and the thrust washer. Each come out in one component, so if you have a problem with one power assembly, you take it out and you put another one in the locomotive. It'll take about 6 hours to change a power assembly of that. All our engine changes are done here, all our truck changes are done here, all our heavy maintenance repairs are done in this shop. All the power assembly changeouts are all done in this shop. Main generator changes. Every locomotive on the system comes through this shop at least once every 2 years for an overhaul. And that's all done in this area. We have the capability of 6 locomotives. Normally the locomotive, when it comes in for overhaul, that's a complete power assembly change-out, oxygen, air compressor, truck work, maybe even the paint. Depends on the locomotive. It'll take us a week to do a complete gut job on the locomotive. And that should run for 6 years. It's one of your black magic. Yeah, they run, but yeah, they're not good for all. They don't make well with our power. So that's why we're trying to get rid of them. They're fairly good looking now. This area is where we dismount our old wheels and push on our new wheels. This is our press. This one we have sticking around here, the reason we're changing this out is the wheels are good. There's nothing wrong with the wheel thickness. They can still run for a while, but you got a hard journal. The support bearing burned up. We tried a new style of a wick. In the new plastic age, we tried a plastic wick, but didn't hold up, and that was what happened. And if you don't catch them on hot box detectors or a smart locomotive engineer, you're going to burn that axle off of you. Well, you can imagine what happens after that. But these are pressed on. Like I told you before, usually a normal wear of a locomotive wheel is about 3 to 3.5 years. And we try to get that out. As you can see, this locomotive wheel has been trued. It's still got quite a bit of rim. We can go down to 1 inch. That mark I got my finger in, and if it hits that mark, it's federal. You got to pull it. You got to shut the locomotive down. So this is a press. We also have a wheel shop over the other side where we do both car and locomotive axles and wheel sets. Generator. That's where the power comes in. Of course, you got your fuel tanks down below, ranging from 1,200 to 5,000 gallons, depending on the locomotive. Beyond that, above on the tops, the radiators, the cooling fans, and we're behind those doors, the air compressor, just like that. We rebuild our own air compressors here. We do a conversion on them too. We put in a gear-style pump on our compressors, which the manufacturers have a slap system, just like a Briggs & Stratton engine. but we put gear style pumps because of the low idle system we put on as fuel savers on the locomotives. The RPM has dropped so low that it can't keep enough oil pressure onto the bearings. So we put on a gear style pump on our locomotive. That gives you an indication just how the system's set up. On this locomotive was our 787 and the 780. We're putting on a new addition. It's called the PTC, the Canadian developed it. And it gives you an extra 800 horsepower equivalent adhesion to the traction motors. We hope. When we distribute power back and forth across the border, the Canadian National will only give us 3,000 horsepower. But if you put a PTC system on it, they'll give you equivalent to 3,800 horsepower. So we want equal utilization across the border, so that's why we're putting on those two locomotives. Most of those locomotives, we paid back to Canadian National on a horsepower or type system. No, that's part of the 50 GP38s going to the BN. See, the General Motors own these locomotives. They bought them from the Conrail.
Yeah.
And then we do the prep work on it. And we put the stencil and change the numbers. And then they go over to Northtown and then they go to work, I guess.
Is that a dash 2?
38-2. A lot of work. No. What we do is we'll repair it. We'll keep track of the man hours and equipment. And what we'll do is we'll turn around to EMD and get material from equivalent to that cost. Pretty decent deal. Well, I hope so. It keeps my budget down, so that's the way it works. This area here is our draft gears. The main thing on the locomotive you see over here on the left is the coupler and the draft gear. You can have all the horsepower you want, all the tractor factor you want, but this coupler and the draft gear don't hold together, you aren't going to go anywhere. That's what does all the pushing and pulling. We have to rebuild those draft gears once every 3-4 years because they take a pounding. And that's what this area is. You'll see the couplers and the bushing. The bushing wear out quite heavily because of the pounding they take, especially switch engines. The road engines are not so bad, but then we rebuild the draft gear, put all new scrubbers in. I don't know what to do. That's about the stand of the Shoreham tour. I don't know, I think you may go to the dispatcher's office. I think they got an opportunity to go up there too. I can take you back up to the bus. Has anybody questions or on the whole board? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to repaint the first GP38 for the front end, the 138s. The SD40s, the 130 through the 170 are not getting anything done. They're going back already. The SDs beyond that, that's why the Black Bandit paint job's going on. Those will be up in 88 and 89. And they'll be going back also. But we don't intend to hold on. The only ones that we possibly maybe starting to go, that's the MP15. The SDL 39s, the SD10s, they're all going to be going. They won't be painted. Well, it depends on how well this one works. And they're basically developed for hump operation. So we only have 2 hump yards, so I'd probably maybe 4 sets. Yeah, we'll see them in Chicago, and this one will be working in St. Paul. For sure.
any
GP38.
GP38s are one. SD40, straight SD40, not the dash 2. That'd be another one, that's quick. And Coast Guard GP30s.
Yeah. Oh, one of those too.
Okay.
Any of those class.
Right. You got my problem?